Hi everyone and welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. Now this one's going to focus on selecting things and the different tools that we use to select. So some of them will be here on the side um, on the toolbar and some will be across the top as well. Alright, so we'll start off with the basics. When you select things, um, whatever tool you're using, all you have to do is click and hold and move it around or to the area that you want to select in most cases. To deselect things, so stop that selection, you just hold Control and press D. Alright, so that's deselect. There are other ways to do that, but that's the easiest way and the shortcut that I tend to use. And remember, shortcuts speed up your workflow. Now for our first tool, I'm just going to duplicate this layer. This is a photograph that I took in Japan, and just turn off the background and fill it with white. The reason I'm doing this is just so you can see when I move things what is actually happening. And we'll start off with the rectangular marquee tool up here. Now this dotted rectangular shape here allows you to select things in rectangular shapes like that. And then if we were to move them using the move tool, you see that it's moved like that. So I'll just Control D to deselect. And of course we can undo those and move everything back to where it was. Now the amazing thing about this tool right here is if you press and hold, you'll see that you have the elliptical marquee tool, which allows you to select in elliptical shapes like so. And you also have, if I just undo that again, you also of course have the single row marquee tool, which keeps things a specific width, and the single column marquee tool, right, which does the same thing, but of course in a vertical fashion, and it's just 1 pixel in width. When it comes to using these tools, and the ones that you'll use the most out of these are the rectangular and the elliptical, if you hold Shift while doing that, then you'll notice that it keeps it to a regular shape. So rather than being an ellipse, it will be a circle. And for the rectangular marquee tool, rather than being a rectangle, it will be a square. So for regular shapes, that is what you do. You just hold down Shift as you create that shape. So that is a rectangular marquee tool. After that, we of course have the Lasso tool, which is one that allows you to, so if I just draw around this individual here really roughly, one which allows you to basically draw what you want to outline and move it around. Very useful, but at the same time, you have to be very precise with what you want. Now, if we click and hold that lasso tool, you'll see other options there. So for example, you've got the selection brush tool, which allows you to sort of highlight the section that you want like that. And then once you move it, change to a move tool, it's the same thing. Once again, slightly less precise. You can of course change the shape of that in the same way you would a brush, but still not as precise as some of the other tools that we'll look at. You've also got the polygonal lasso tool. Now this one allows you to select in straight lines. So it lets you make a polygon out of your selection lines. And that can be any shape. Very useful for when you're doing really precise, very geometric designs or edits to whatever you're doing. I do use this quite a lot when I'm doing drawing and illustrations in Photoshop. So if you just step back with that. We also have the magnetic lasso tool. Now this is one of the first ones where you get a bit of an assist with your image. So say if I want to select this figure here, if I just guide my brush around the edge, it will pick up on the fact that, you know, there is a harsh edge here and it will try and follow that as best as possible. If I click, then I can force it to control or select certain things, but otherwise it will make those points on its own based on what's behind. So if you have some shapes which are similar colors, then that's where it will get a bit confusing. It might pick up bits that it shouldn't or leave out bits that it shouldn't. I just press enter and there we go. That figure's been fully selected with some more finesse, some more precision than I would get with the lasso tool. Excellent. So that is the full set of selection tools that you see there. Now, most of the time I just leave mine on lasso and then use whatever's necessary. Now, the next one I'm going to bring attention to is the magic wand tool. Now, the magic wand tool This one will basically just pick up on anything that it thinks should be should be grouped together. So, for example, we've got this beam here. If I click on that, it will select everything that's sort of a similar color, tone, value, and shape in that area, and just select it all. So I've selected that, and there we go. It's taken out those parts of the beam. This is one of the least helpful selection tools in my opinion, simply because it's just so irregular with how it picks things and selects things in comparison to the others. We've of course also got the quick selection tool, which does a similar thing to the magic wand, but with a bit more freedom and control from you. So for example, as you can see, I can just sort of spread it and it will look for sections which are similar, which seem to be connected, and it will group them. And then from there, we can then start moving things around. Now, last but not least is the object selection tool, which is one of the newer selection tools when it comes to Photoshop. It's been around for a few years now, but back when I first started using Photoshop, it did not exist at all. This was not a thing. Now, what this does is it can tell the difference between objects, and it can sort of select in a logical way. So if I want to remove a person, it can spot that it's a person. So say, for example, this individual, if I just go around them like so, it will take a few seconds to process. You might hear my fan whirring in the background as it figures out exactly what it's looking at. And there we go. You'll see here that it's selected this person completely. It's left out their hair. It looks like it couldn't quite figure out the hair on their back. Couldn't quite figure out that that was part of the person. But for the most part, that's fine. It selects the person. I can now move them around, remove them from the image, or anything like that. Very, very powerful tool. That very taxing on your computer. Typically, those are considered the main selection tools, but there are other ways to select as well. If we look at the top, at the bar that runs along the top of Photoshop, you'll see an area that's select there. And there are loads of ways to use this to your advantage. So for example, we can select all there. That selects everything, the entire image. I'll just Control D that. We can select an area just using a normal selection tool, such as the Lasso tool just there, and then go select and then inverse, and it will select everything but the area that I selected, like that. There's a bunch of layer selections as well here, but we won't go into that because that's to do with layers. One of my favorite ones though is color range. Now with this, especially if you're working on really bright work, you can select specific colors no matter where they are and alter them. So for example, if I want to alter everything that's this sort of reddish color, I go like that. Okay, it selects everything that's this reddish color, and then I can go image, adjustments, and then mess around with something like, say, the saturation. Just bring that across and turn that all the way up, and you'll see that for those colors, the saturation has changed. That color range set is such a great tool to use, especially for artists who decide, or graphic designers who decide partway through creating an image, hey, this image isn't working for me, this color isn't working for me, I just want to enhance a specific color, or select a specific color, or desaturate it, anything like that. You can do that. Now, if you go to select and you select something and you click grow or similar, it will select things similar to what you selected. So it's once again quite an intelligent one that looks into what similar colors, similar objects there are, and picks based on that. Either way, the selection tools are extremely, extremely useful tools, and I hope that you get to play around with it a bit. You'll probably find that most of what you need will be among these three selection tools here. So the rectangular marquee tool, the lasso tool, and the various smart selection tools over here. But being able to understand what each of these selection tools does, and also knowing what that select button at the top on that menu does, it really does help speed up your workflow, enable you to do things with a bit more precision than you probably would normally, and helps you to create some pretty amazing pieces of work. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. If there's a specific way that you use the selection tools or specific type of selection tool that you use, please feel free to drop it down in the comments as well. And of course, subscribe for more tutorials and other art-based videos like this one. But that's all for now. Until next time.